Woohoo.
One.
Hi, hi.
It's colder
Hello, hello.
to meet on Zoom.
Yay. So, how did you all do on your video experience this week?
Who would
Well,
like to go?
Zenka is great. Zenka, you go first.
Well, it finally came to me. There's so many videos I want to do. And I started the paper system where I wrote all of them down to just pull them out. But I was really feeling passionate about the purpose thing. And so that just came to me yesterday. It's like, oh, beyond a shadow of the doubt, you're doing the purpose thing. And so I did. And my schedule got switched around, but I was like, nope, I'm doing this. It's happening. And I just sat down, I sat my butt down and I did it.
Yay.
How did it feel?
Perfectionist, if like done is better than perfect was Facebook's motto. Like they stopped posters at the company, done is better than perfect. And I think my perfectionism gets in the way, so this is a great way for me to stretch that out.
Yes. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress, they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Zenka, how's it feeling to be in the flow of making your videos?
Well, I don't feel like I'm really doing what I set out to do quite yet. So there's some big things that are happening in my life right now. So it hasn't gotten the attention I wanted it to have. But doing the third one, I'm like, okay, I'm in a rhythm. I can do this. And I think, you know, my last video was hilarious because my coach was like, it would probably be detrimental to your career to tell people that you're God's lucid dream. I just put that out there kind of in the last one. And I was just like, okay. And, you know, I was talking to Adam last night, this other Adam that we went out to dinner with. And he's like, I think that if I'm a lucid dream of something, or if I'm a lucid dream, then literally everything downstream of that, all the LightNet and DreamMachine can be built, because in my lucid dream, I would get funded, I would be able to do it, I'm managing it, you know, so everything else downstream of that happens. And we had a really wild experience. I told Amy and Carl about it at the Fashion Lab, because some girl won. We had about 12 raffle prizes, and she won 5 raffle prizes. She won 5. And then the other girl won 4. And Adam was sitting there on camera shaking the raffle tickets each time, and then someone from the audience is pulling it. So it wasn't like, and I was like, that is an example of the lucid dream. Because if it was your lucid dream, you would just look at the raffle and you'd be like, well, I want to win that one, that one, that one, and that one. And this is actually possible because we are in a dream. I'm sure of it. So it's just like, what are we dreaming? What are we choosing? And, you know, Adam talked a lot about last night, Adam Hall, about the Course in Miracles, and he's writing a book called Miracle Lab. And he said, it's all about coming back, knowing that says like, you don't need to do anything, and coming back to that choice moment in every moment. Every moment that we're not choosing are what we want to choose, like, oh, this is hard, or oh, I don't want to do it, like, choose again. In that moment, we get to choose again. And so I choose to be funded, I choose to get my stuff done, I choose to be in ease and grace, and that's what I'm choosing.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, so good.
Feels good.
It's
Well,
really great.
I made a great first video in time on the first round. And right after I did the video, we came over to your place and met. And so I didn't post it yet. And a few days went by, and then when I went to view it again before posting it, I noticed that I could only see myself and I couldn't hear myself.
He didn't remember to turn the microphone on.
So yeah, I was all excited about this great video. I felt like I was really
It was good.
moving in that direction of being comfortable on camera, being comfortable more than just on camera, but speaking in the moment without anything scripted and being genuine and candid and there. So I almost posted it on social media with a kind of a request if there's anybody out there that can read lips. I'd love to hear what I said.
I was in the other room when he recorded it. It was so good. So
That's
that
why.
was interesting that
Yes.
he didn't turn the microphone.
And since then, we've been so into this program that we're creating, and I've been building new levels of the technology, and so that's been every night. A lot of my time has been.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I've actually felt and seen some shifts happening, subtle shifts happening, just from what we've done so far. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. And we also posted last night, we posted we caught up with the posting part of our experiments. So that feels good.
Yeah.
It's down, the tracks are down.
Zenka, I really appreciate that, connecting with you and getting that out, because you were aware of how I was feeling, and just taking that step and putting it out there did something. I feel like that really did something. What I've noticed is that yes, us coming together is doing a lot for me. However, us coming together was not enough for me to just make it easy all of a sudden to do this video. So I'm getting closer. I'm moving in that direction. It's interesting because yes, Carl and I, just like you guys, our schedule is pretty full right now of things that we're creating. And however, I was finding times in my schedule where I said, oh, well, I have this, I have some time right here where I can do this. And so on Tuesday, just this past Tuesday, I was having some time to do that. And on Tuesday, what was coming up in me was the most uncomfortable feeling. It was like so awful, really. And there was no way that I was going to make a video in that state. So I tuned within, and I had the awareness that, there's nothing wrong here. Everything's good. I'm feeling this way because there is some really deep stuff coming up around me speaking. So I listened to my guidance about what to do, and it said, go back in the back room and do some breathing. So I did multiple rounds of candle breaths, looking up at the ceiling. And then I was guided to, after a lot of breath, I was guided just to be on the floor, and I was laying on my back. And I was still doing some breathing. And then I was guided just to start making noise. So I'd breathe in, and on the exhale, it was like an ah sound, only sustained, long. And it just felt like that was getting energy out. That was getting suppressed expression from a very long time ago, probably, who knows, but that was getting out. Here's what was so interesting, that it felt like it was like from the deepest place within me. And so I was doing it a couple of times, and then I took this big breath in, and it was this sustained sound on the exhale. And it just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, where is this breath coming from? Because there wasn't another breath. I've never had such a long sustained exhale of this sound go. But then it shifted my state. I was feeling better. It felt like a huge, massive amount of old energy got cleared out. And when I woke up the next day, I felt completely different. And that was on Wednesday. And I'm still feeling more energy coming up. I'm feeling I'm going to do that again. And since then, Carl and I, we've just been so full with what we're doing that there wasn't space to make a video, but I'm getting closer. So I just would like to share that this has really been a real thing for me. And there's been energy that is keeping me from speaking in this way, right? You're aware that when I'm with Carl and do our program, and that's completely different.
Yeah.
Thing.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I just wanted to say I feel you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. it's not easy. It really is not easy to tap into that and put it out there. It's been a lifelong struggle for me too, and I feel all that anxiety coming up in my body as well, and it feels ancient. It feels like it's not from this lifetime. I know exactly how you feel. And yeah, so my experience for this past week before this week is it felt like all the forces of the universe were working against me. Like I was having all these negative synchronicities, like right when I had a moment to record the video, I would have a knock on the door and then the construction worker would say that he needs to come like work on the wall or something. And this kept happening over and over again. And then it got to the point where it was like 30 minutes before the deadline. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it in this 30 minutes. And literally right at that moment, another construction worker knocked on the door because they're doing construction here. And he's like, oh, I'm going to come work on your house. And then I told him, I was like, can you come back in 30 minutes? And he was like, okay. And in that 30 minutes, I recorded a 4-minute video of me doing this little mini, like super technical, not really heart-based, but just very technical explanation of how I created a geometry in the oscilloscope. So, and then I posted that like right at the deadline. So just the fact that that even exists is a symbol of resilience in the face of obstacles. So that was last week, but I did it so quick. I didn't really, put a whole lot of thought into it. And so this week I wanted to make a video that was slightly more researched. So, I spent the whole week thinking about it and I didn't film it until like actually right before this session. I was like, I want to get it done before 1 o'clock. So I literally like right at the nick of time just finished filming this like 10-minute video. And again, like my process for opening up that space for authentic expression. Oops, sorry if is my mic getting a little. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's scratching a little bit.
Okay.
That sounds better.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, so I was just gonna say that, yeah, this week I did a little bit more research and preparation for the video, and I forgot what I was gonna say actually, but
You were saying the flow of it because you did, yeah.
yeah, okay. So that is my personal secret for even doing this in the first place, is like I just tricked myself into thinking I'm doing like a technical tutorial, and I made out a script and everything, and then I read off the script for the first paragraph, and then at some point I just caught the flow, and then I just started going off and talking, free flow, and I didn't even expect that, but I was like, I can't work in this script. But then I was able to be like, okay, all the information is here in my field, I just need to channel it. And so then I started talking about technical stuff from the free flow perspective. And then finally there was like a little tiny point at the end where I was like able to get in a little bit of that energy of what we're all going for here, which is that authentic heart-based expression. And so there was like a little moment where I was able to bring it all for full circle from the technical into the like heart-based thing. So I had to like create this like safe space, to access that for me personally. But that's how it went for me.
Congratulations!
Yes. Yes.
So cool. And you've got, you've got the technical stuff worked out because you look really cool. The lighting looks good. The background looks cool. Like it's you. Like there's a picture's worth 1,000 words. So it's cool to have you all in your, with your background and being able to do that. That's really looks it's you, it's authentic. It's like something you're bringing. It's very cool. I like it. Yay.
Yeah, looks good. So, yeah, I didn't finish the video, but I did quite a bit of research this last week. Quite a bit for a little bit of time that I had, and so I'm formulating some ideas now about what I might want to do with this. I think if I jumped in with you all, there wasn't this burning thing in me that had to be heard. You know, I was here to participate and support the best I could, and now I've begun to like start to get interested in doing something. And so I looked at a couple different YouTube channels that were directed towards editing techniques and ideas, and filming techniques and ideas. And then I looked at some different presentations that I thought were interesting. And so, yeah, I'm formulating my idea, and I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be. So I began that I was going to force something. And then this week I pulled back on that and said, what would I really like to do? And that's where I began to like gather that information. And I'm like, okay, you know, you guys have the thing that you're feeling that burning desire to do, and I'm finding what mine is in this project. So that felt pretty good this week. Yeah, and I have some ideas, and they're not Zoom quick. And so if it takes a little more time, it'll take a little more time. And I feel really good about that.
That's so good, Adam. And I feel the same way, that I'm not going to force it. And because that wouldn't feel good. And so I appreciate you sharing, and sounds like you're following your guidance and your path, and you're in motion. Like I feel like I'm in motion too, and it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out for me, and that's stayed in the back of my mind, is watching an in-depth interview where they're looking at some scenes with an Academy Award-winning editor. And he said, I always begin the edit with the sound off. Yeah, and I look at the edit because in essence, it's visual first. And so that's something that I've been thinking about. It may or may not apply to anything you all are doing, just to let you know where my head is.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
That's a good tip.
I've been putting music and pictures on mine too, like, which I normally would never do. So it's like, it feels good to kind of add those layers in.
Yeah, I saw yours a little bit already, and it's spicy as far as like, you got a lot of stuff going on there. I didn't get to watch the whole thing yet, but yeah, it was very cool.
I wanted to comment on the reverse synchronicity that you mentioned, because I've never heard that word. So normally, I guess synchronicity is like, oh my God, this is so cool. This happened. Like this person called me and I've been needing, to call them or whatever. But it's like, oh, the guy is showing up, to do like interrupting. And so I was thinking, as we're looking at purpose, and that's what my topic was this week, is like, we don't even want to think about our purpose in general, the world, because it's already a closed book. It's like, oh, you can't make money doing what you love, or whatever the story is that we attach to. And so those things don't even happen. So if you had continued to get interrupted because your mind wants to run away. You like, we all are like reluctantly doing this. Like we all want to run out the back door and not do it. So because our inner world creates our outer world, it's obvious that the guy is going to show up to do all the construction at that time. Like that's us creating that. That's perfect. It's like, oh, I have a great excuse. I couldn't do it. So we have to remember that our inner state is that proficient, is that genius at creating the reality that we want to live. Deep down, we might want to do something else, but our protected self is like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm scared to do this, whatever. I'm not doing it. And so the universe like will play along with that. And that's so interesting because it doesn't help us. So unless we take that inner part of us and be like, no, you have to come back in a half an hour. Like that was an override of what you deep down wanted to do. And then the rest of you is ordering. It's like, wait, did you order the pasta or the salad? Like, everything's being ordered at once, So that is so interesting because I'm wondering how often we do that. And I'm wondering how often we tell ourselves stories that we can't live our purpose, we can't do the video, all that stuff is just stories we tell ourselves.
It's like the universe is creating these flaming hoops for you to jump through, asking you, how bad do you want it? And that happened to me exactly this other time too. I was going to do this liver flush cleanse and I set a date. I wrote it on my calendar. I was like, I'm going to do this gallbladder liver flush. And on that day, the plumbing in our whole house, exploded and there was absolutely no way that I could do it on that day. And I was like, this feels like some self-created energy of me blocking myself and manifesting this obstacle because I, don't want to do it. So it's like my subconscious really doesn't want to do it. And so it's creating these obstacles. But then I have a higher will, conflicting wills, and then the lower will create an obstacle that tries to override the higher will. And then you have to take your higher will and say, no, I'm going to override this. And then I'm going to, do it somewhere else. But yeah, I just ended up doing it the next day anyway. But yeah.
You're pretty powerful and blowing up pipes.
I know. Right. Our subconscious belief system is so powerful. So yeah, but it's always something we can override.
I like to look at the mechanics of that stuff. Like, for example, the construction workers coming in. I think what happens is it's all based on our programming on the inside. And because we have the ability to connect telepathically, I think that what happened was as soon as you were feeling all settled in and ready to go, the subconscious sent a signal out to the guy and said, hey, I'm getting all cozy. You better hurry up and get in here and interrupt because it's what keeps things the same. I think it has a good purpose because it kind of holds reality into a fixed enough position that we can get a footing and actually exist here and function in this 3D realm. And we can shift it.
Yeah, you can shift it. My guidance is telling me, oh, you're going to say something, Zenka? Go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, how we get confused and we think it's like we are all, it's the same thing as this scenario that we're the door guy coming. It's like we're only fighting ourselves. And so we can kind of lay down those, I guess it is a negotiation between parts of ourselves that are confused about what the plan is.
I think that's a really good description of it. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So my guidance is telling me that I am to do a case study on myself. And the reason that I'm still struggling with this basically, because I am, and is because I'm supposed to talk about it as I'm going through it. I haven't even done all of our tools on this particular thing. I haven't even done the OCE process on this, if you can believe it. I guess I like to keep myself suffering. That's not true, but but I'm being shown to, whether I end up sharing this or not, just to get on and talk about where I am right now and how it's feeling. And then kind of put the video on pause and then go do the OCE process and come back and talk about how I'm feeling next. And then I'll talk about where I am, and then I'll do a mind flavors, I'll do an invigorate and do this. And if I have to go deeper, I'll go deeper, and then I'll come back. And every time I come back, you're going to see me elevating, I'm clearing, I'm opening. And I feel like I'm meant to be documenting this. And that's why I'm still here. So.
That's a brilliant idea.
I love it.
That's a
Yes.
brilliant idea. That's fascinating because your process is so bizarre because you look at it, you're like, how could I have gone from this to this in 20 seconds
Yes.
or
yes.
whatever? That
Because-
would be fascinating.
Okay. Yeah.
I
I
love it.
do, because there are some of us who just require to come together as a group, and the support is enough to get them going. And for me, it's not, right. Like there's really energy in the way of me doing this. It's like so much suppression. Like I said the other day when I did that, I finally had such great awareness that, Amy, you got to go deeper, right? There's some clearing to do here first. Don't push it. Don't make yourself try to do something until you clear it out, because we believe, we live from the inside out, that anything can be joyous and easy and in the flow when we're in alignment with it. And if we're not, that's okay. That's just an indication that there is some work to do. There's some clearing, energy to clear out. So
Sometimes I think some of that can be shifted by forcing ourselves in the moment to do that uncomfortable thing, to break through that.
sometimes I agree.
I think the easier way is to get the clarity and clear it all from the inside, and get the alignment on the inside, because that's really where the majority of our creative energy is coming from, that deeper part of us.
Could be.
It's like, I'm really looking forward to sharing this, because a part of thing that really hasn't been easy for me also is because I feel like I should be able to just do it like that. And it's been all these years where I haven't. And so it's really made me feel like, am I the only one who is like this, that, and
Yeah, I love what Sheila said too. Is like, she's like, oh, I've been thinking about this all week. And that's what I'm starting to do. Like, oh, what am I gonna do my video on this week? So like, if you're a chef, like, I'm not expecting my first couple cakes to come out that well, but now it's like the technical part has been figured out, how I'm doing it, so that all this, like, some of the unknowns are now like out. And now I know how to post. I know what thumbnails are going to look like. I know, and so now it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm really excited. Like you, Sheila, think like, what do I want to do my thing on next week? Do you know what you're doing yours on next week, Sheila? Yeah.
I don't know yet, actually. And like another thing that just helped me so much was the topic I did this week, I wanted to do it last week, but I was being a perfectionist. I was like, I don't want to, like, I didn't want to make the video in a way that was not giving justice to the topic. So this perfectionism demon came in and was like, no, like, just procrastinate and don't do that one. Like, wait till it's perfect. But then I told myself, I was like, okay, well, I could always redo the video later, and this will be like a foundation or just like an intro, just to kind of ground it down and put in that pillar of that energy, because I feel the need to do that at this time. It's like, strike when the iron's hot. Like, when you have the feeling that you really want an idea to come through, for me personally, it's just about, like, anchoring it into reality. And I can always make like a longer, more professional expose about this whole topic later. And, ultimately that's what all creators do, is like, they'll constantly reiterate topics and develop it further. And, nothing's ever finished. It's always going to continue developing. And it's not that we have to think of it as like, oh, this is done, it's the end all be all. It's always going to represent my perspective on this topic. So it's like, just knowing, okay, we can always go back and refine and redo it. Like, one of my favorite creators created this video about astral projection like 8 years ago. And then he would like remake the video each year on like how to astral project. And each year he would make it a little bit better, but he always kept his old videos so you could see his progress. So yeah.
That's really cool. And Amy, I can see you doing the process with different things along the way, you know, and showing people what is possible through the process. Like, oh, I don't want to think this way about this thing. Okay, boom, here it is, you know, and go through the process. Like, this first one's about the videos, but then there's the other one of like, I don't want to think that X, you know? And so it's interesting to see a variation on that, you know, on another thought, because that's really is the garden of our lives, the garden of our thoughts. You know, I think at one point in consciousness, you figure out to take responsibility and stop being a victim. And then the second part is the opposite of like, what are you creating? Like, what do you want to create? And that's something that we haven't done a lot of yet. But it's actually what is will get us through the hard stuff.
It's also where the fun stuff is.
Yeah.
And all that creativity.
Carrot that leads you forward.
I agree with you, Zenka, and I think that's where what draws me forward in this whole conversation is getting past those initial things where the real fun starts happening, the creativity opens up, the expansion of awareness, expansion of our consciousness. And for me, that's the most fun of all, is expanding our consciousness. And I like looking at the process of it too. And so I love that we're gathering together to do this so that we can talk about and explore these different things as they're coming up. And it'll be very interesting to see down the road how the things that we're talking about now start to unfold.
Oh. Yeah, Sheila, I see your whole YouTube. I see particular videos just being like passed on, like, oh, did you see this video about the Vesic Pisces?
Yeah.
I see a lot of evergreen there. Evergreen videos.
Oh,
Yay.
it's so much fun. It's like I'll be dreading it and not wanting to turn on the camera and procrastinating and making excuses and summoning obstacles. But then as soon as I turn on the camera, I start having fun. There's a moment where it becomes fun and it stops becoming a dreaded process of suffering. But for me, it's like I just gotta hit that record button. You know, even if I don't post it. Like today, I did a couple takes, and normally I don't want to do another take, but yeah, today I was like, I'm just gonna redo it. And then the second time I did it, there was more flow. It went by a little faster. I was less mumbly. So yeah, just knowing that, you know, you can hit record and then you don't have to post it. You can just do it for practice, is very helpful as well.
Yeah, I felt like that as a ceramic artist. Like you build your repertoire, you know, like, okay, I know how to start the face and do the nose and do this and do that. And it's like now you know better yourself, that the second time some of the mumbles are out and you're right in flow. Like this is great knowledge as we perfect our crafts. If we want to be if we would love to be communicators, this is a great way to like get the recipes down that make the 10th sculpture, the 11th, the 20th, 200th, like awesome. So that is great. And I felt like that too. I was like, oh, I already know what my thumbnail is going to be. I just changed the thing now. You know, it's like starting to have an ease. Getting to know ourselves. Yay, guys. Any other things, tidbits, questions, support before we sign off for next? So we'll meet in 2 weeks at the house with 2 more videos in the hopper.
My focus is to be completely produced of all these videos
Amazing.
already done, already ready by the next time we get together.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna do my case study on myself and see what comes out, whether it's sharing those or it comes, something else comes after doing this process or both, we'll see. But definitely, the other day I had a little bit of a scare on Tuesday because before I was guided in there to do that work, I had such a strong feeling that I was thinking, oh my, I've waited too long, right? I felt like I've had all these opportunities to do it and I didn't do it and I didn't do it. And then I had a moment of feeling like it was too late and I'm going to be stuck with this feeling. Oh, it wasn't true, but yeah, so it's a huge priority, and I appreciate all of us coming together and sharing. You know, Zenka, really congratulations for what you've done so far, and Sheela, you too, and especially like you had that fork in the road where they knocked on your door and you said, "Come back." I mean, that is a huge thing. That is like really a huge thing that you are in alignment with who you are now, and you're ready and you're doing it. So I applaud you. Good job. Yeah, both of you ladies. Yeah.
Definitely.
And I like your idea of just turning the camera on. That's what I'm going to do.
But something we discussed this a little bit last night is, you know, as we ascend, we can get this assumption that we're moving away from the ego, but it goes along the journey and it learns everything we learn, and it gets really, really fucking clever about tricking us out, right? Just like, you know, so Amy, there she had all hers, and you're able to manifest distractions, right? So it gets super clever. It's like, yeah, you didn't get rid of me. I'm just pretending to not be here. Right? Yeah, totally. Like, it's behind the curtain now, and it's pulling levers and stuff. And it's like, oh, I wonder why that happened. So yeah, I get that. I totally get it. Mine is super clever.
We're not going to let it trick us anymore, though, right?
Right. Make sure that it's up to good.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's up to good, and its mischievousness is about comedy, right? Yeah. That's how I play mine.
Cool.